Well, hi friends. Wanted to get up another video, and it's really great the information that we are sharing. I really have been appreciating the comments. There's still a lot of feedback. There's still a lot of muddling through misinformation, and there's also information that's coming in from the press and the media that really aren't reporting a clear picture, a fair and balanced picture. It seems like a balance is going out the door, and there has been exaggeration of a lot of things. So, because of the feedback I've been getting, and I so appreciate every single comment, we are here together. We are not here to cause a division, because that's always the plan of Satan. We have a crisis, and people all have their own opinion, and they're reading their own news sources, and they're getting their own research, and and then what do? People begin arguing, and that's not good. That's not good. People get so angry, and there's no need for anger. There is only need for, if we have a difference of where we're getting some of our information. Well, that's great. Let's talk about it so we can get to the truth, because everything stands on one principle: the truth. And we have the responsibility, all of us, because we're all in it together, to seek the truth, instead of just panicking and listening to, this person says you have to listen to this doctor, and the other person says you have to listen to this doctor, and says, oh, I don't want to listen to the CDC, or, we have to find, again, balance. So that's what I'm going to try to do in this video real quickly, is balance. Right now, the stats are looking like there's about 70 deaths in the U.S. As of today, I believe there's 3,400 confirmed cases. Let's put it in perspective. There are over 347 million people in the United States. Okay? Think about that. So when all these news reports are talking about the hospitals that are running out of ventilators, they're going to run out of ventilators. We're going to run out of resources. We're going to run out of nurses, and we're going to run out of doctors. Now, I'm not downplaying this, but keep things very balanced. And as a nurse, all my life, I try to look at things very rationally, and I try to be as discerning and as calm and as balanced as I can in what's going on. I mean, as nurses, they train us to be critical thinkers, and that's what we really need to do. We need to be critical thinkers right now. So I know people get really upset when I start saying it's just like the influenza. And they were like, no, it's not like the influenza. But the reason why we look at the influenza is because of the burden that it would put on taxing the healthcare system. Okay? So if we look at the stats right now, today, around 4,000 cases of COVID-19 has been confirmed in the U.S. That's right now, today. There are currently, the hardest hit is California, New York, and Washington State, where there are currently 440. 750 to 726 are active cases. Now, and of course, they say it is been rapidly rising, and in 12 U.S. states, a total of 69 people have succumbed to the disease. 42 deaths occurred in Washington State. Okay, now, we have 347 million people in the United States. We are not Italy, which is really small. They have a completely different healthcare system. And of course, they are being taxed. It's a small country. So we cannot compare apples to oranges, nor can we compare ourselves to over in China. We are the United States of America. We have dealt with pandemics, we have dealt with epidemics, and we have survived them all. Why? Because we have a very effective and efficient healthcare system, and the nurses are very trained. They're highly trained. In fact, when I worked last year, and I have worked through the H1N1, I have worked through Ebola, I have worked through patients with TB, hospital infections like MRSA, and we have had lockdown before. Nurses are the front line. We are trained specifically, very specifically, for infection control, because every patient has a potential to infect us and other patients, no matter who comes through that door. And that's always been there since my nursing career. So every nurse gets trained. Sometimes we are even more, I can confidently say that we're probably more trained than most doctors when it comes to infection control, because doctors usually are in their specific departments, and they're not coming to the infection control class. They're not gowning up and learning how to use respirators and different masks and putting on the hazmat suits, and they're not the ones who are going to be out there hosing down the people before they come into the ER, into the decontamination shower. They're not showering these people. They're not doing any of that. They're not starting the IVs on people who have HIV or H1N1 or coronavirus. They're usually not, okay? Now, I'm not saying that the doctors aren't being exposed, because the ones in doctors are also on the front line. So, but there is a real fact in healthcare that the nurses are very, very well trained in infection control. And we have seen it all. I've seen it all. So when I try to give some of these facts, there's things that I do know that I've seen in healthcare over the years, and I can really confidently say that our healthcare system is a good healthcare system, and we are really trained. I think the problem right now is we don't have a big burden with the coronavirus statistically. If we look at the influenza stats, when it comes to the CDC, and they've got all the stats. So the chart here from the CDC says the estimated hospitalizations between 2018 and 19 were 490,000. So 490,000 people went to the ER between 2018 and 2019, and I didn't see anybody like closing the doors. I didn't see the hospitals being overburdened and not having enough staff and not having enough nurses and not having enough aides and not having enough doctors, right? And right now, look at the numbers. See, let's balance this out. Okay, so if the hospital is able to handle that burden during 2018 and 19, do we not think they can't handle the burden today? And the burden's not even that large right now. We are throwing out these big numbers that this coronavirus is taking off. It's going to multiply and triple and double and quadruple, and the hospital system is just, it's crashing. And really? Now, I've talked to multiple people who are working right now on the floors. I've had one report of a doctor saying that the biggest thing is they're running out of supplies. Why? Because people are hoarding. This is becoming the problem. The problem isn't that the hospital is becoming overwhelmed. It's people are hoarding supplies. That's not very Christian-like, right? Yeah, it's not. This is what happens in the end. People become greedy. They become selfish, and it's all about self-preservation. That's what we're seeing. So they don't think about anybody else. That's why the shelves are bare, because people are in self-preservation mode. They're not thinking about anybody else. So it's affecting the hospitals and the supplies that they need. And then what also is happening with some of the hospitals, not all of them, but the reports that I've been getting from a lot of people that I know in the medical field, is that people are coming in with symptoms of coughing and sneezing, and they're not feeling well, and they don't need to come in. They really don't, because what does the doctor do? They send them home. And what does doctors tell them? You need some rest. Go home, drink some water, because this is a virus and there's no antibiotic for it. So if you're not feeling well, don't go to the hospital. Don't go to the clinic. There's nothing they can do. Go home and take care of yourself. Start drinking some lemon water. Start building up your immunity. Follow, don't eat any more sugar. Don't eat any more meat. Don't eat any more processed foods. Everything needs to be fresh. Get your antioxidants in with your fresh colors, your fruit, and get some vitamin D, some sun, all the things that I've been talking about. If you're, build up your immune system. Rest. The best thing to do is eat some oranges, right? Get some lemon water. Make some Russian penicillin. I'm doing that right now on my Pateron channel. I'm doing some Russian penicillin, okay? Showing people how to do that. Do some hydrotherapy. So, but stay home. But this is where they get taxing. They're not running out of beds. They're running out of some hospitals out of face masks, which is crazy. But I want to read you. I have many people in the in the medical field right now, and my niece is right here in Chattanooga. And I asked her about how Erlanger is a very big hospital, and she does wound care there. So she says, as far as a hospital, we are fine. They haven't even made any plan. Just wash hands like we usually do, and locking up the N95 masks. See, because they're worried. People are hoarding. There is only one reported case of coronavirus in Hamilton County and only 39 in the state. She says, I haven't seen any panic, riot, fights, or looting where I live or on the news. Just people preparing for possible quarantine, buying food and supplies. So our Walmart is almost out of food right now. She says, I do see the news asking loaded questions that could cause panic. It's all for hype and views. I've mainly been watching the president addresses and blah, blah, blah. So even at her hospital, people are hoarding masks, and then they have to lock up their masks. This is the problem. Now, I understand that we have to prepare for possible quarantine, but man, the self-preservation, this is what is getting out of control. People fighting over toilet people fighting over their boxes of cereal. And, true colors come out, right? True colors come out. So I really wanted to get that out. And one other thing, let's see where we're at, about 5 minutes. I want to try to make this very quickly. Also, the scare tactics about the ventilators. They keep talking about the ventilators we're going to run out in the United States. I want to quickly just share this from a medical perspective. I have taken care of, I don't know how, I've admitted thousands of people, right? And when they come into the hospital, they have to fill out what's called a no code or full code status. That means, do you want, in case of your heart stops, do you want to have us do CPR and heroic measures, and if worse comes to worse, we're going to put you in a feeding tube and we're going to put you on the ventilator? Okay, now, once again, let's put this in perspective, because the news is reporting we're running out of ventilators. We don't have enough ventilators. Well, in fact, we actually have 160,000 ventilators in the United States and 8,000 on backup. Okay, think about that now. Now, who does the coronavirus affect the most? Who is at risk for dying? Immunocompromised people who are very sick, older, frail people who have comorbidities. Okay, now, those people who come into the hospital setting or in the nursing homes, when they fill out their code status, I would say, if I take a great guess estimate, and I could be pretty confident in this, 90% of them are no codes. Ask your grandma if she's a full code or no code. Ask your grandpa who's 88 years old and who's at risk right now if he's a full code or no code. I'll guarantee most of them are no codes. The reason being, because when you get to that age, you don't want anybody thumping on your chest and sticking IVs up you and sticking tubes in your nose and then sticking a tube down your throat to be on a ventilator. Okay? So this is the stuff that I know because I've been a nurse for a long time. And code status is really important. If all the people in the United States were no codes, we may have an issue if this continues to multiply and catch up with the influenza virus. Okay, if it does catch up to the influenza virus, then we may have an issue. And if everybody was a no code, but you know what? There's not a lot of people who are immunocompromised and that sick who are going to be full codes. There are people, but it is rare. It's rare. So hopefully that clarifies. One other quick thing. So I just mentioned I posted a recipe for Russian penicillin. It's an herbal remedy that everybody should be taking right now. It's really easy to make, and I posted that on Patreon. Now, the reason why I am directing people to Patreon is because we are having issues with shadow banning. I just had a good friend also email me, and he was telling me that his Christian channel, and I have it here, has been shadow banned. And this is becoming more and more common with us Christians who are talking about God and Corona and prophecy. And we're seeing it more and more and more and more. I can't find his email, but that's what he said. And he wanted to know also about Patreon. The reason why we move things to Patreon is because it is a site where we can say whatever we want. There is no bans, there's no censorship. We can talk about God, we can talk about prophecy, we can talk about natural remedies, we can really empower people. Now there is a fee. There's a reason why there's a fee, is because that's how Patreon is. It's a feed-based platform. So I have to charge people to come in, and they take a percentage of that, okay? So if you are unable to afford coming to Patreon, if you just say, if you cannot for the life of you afford the $3, like that $3 is really going to break you, you email me and I will pay for you to come and join us, okay? There may be some people out there who are really pressed, but I want, come on, be honest about it. If you can't afford the $3, let me know, and I will, because this is not for me, this is for all of you to continue to be empowered with the truth and balanced information that's not being censored. Right now on YouTube, I'm going to start, and here's a little thing. I'm going to start using different titles that have nothing to do with the coronavirus and God. Okay, I'm going to have to start doing that. So be aware that when I put up all my new videos now, if it says Starry Vlog, Starry quits school, I didn't quit school, but I'm going to have to start doing that so they don't flag my video. Okay, do you understand? I have to be very sneaky about it, because they are watching the videos. They will sit and they watch the videos, and then they shadow ban you. Okay? It's something that I must do in order for me to keep getting out accurate information. All right. So, here's something. Someone just bought me. I don't know if you can see that. I know it's backwards, but it's called Esiac, and it is an herbal extract. It is immune system support. Okay, and thank you. Who? I just got this today. It was awesome. Oh, no name, but bless you, because this. Everybody should be taking this right now. If you are healthy and strong and you are not having any symptoms, now is the time to build your immune system. Okay. And one other last thing, I know we're going over time here. It's long. I just sat in on one of my classes. It's a Daniel, and it is so powerful, and how coincidental that the Lord is bringing me through the book of Daniel. If you remember, Meshach and Shadrach went into the fire, and King Nebuchadnezzar was so mad with them that he increased the flames of the fire and increased the intensity, and they were fine with going in. They bound them with twine, and they stuck them in there with all their clothes on, and the two guys that even threw them in there, it was so hot, they immediately died because they were burned from the flames. So everybody is watching them in this fire, expecting them to be burnt up and killed like the guys right there, and they are actually walking around in the fire. King Nebuchadnezzar is looking, and here is Meshach and Abednego and Shadrach, and they're walking around, and King Nebuchadnezzar sees all three of them plus somebody else, a fourth figure. When we are in the middle of the fire, Jesus is with us. They were face to face with Jesus, and that is, we have to remember, when we are in the middle of the fire, Jesus is there. That is where we will probably see him the most, the clearest. And when they came out, everything was untouched. No singeing. Their hair was intact. Their clothes was intact, except their twine was burnt off. They were free. And that's what trials do. Trials build us, strengthen us, brings us closer to Christ, and it frees us. It frees us. So understand what is going right now. We may be in the midst of a trial and a tribulation, but Jesus is walking in that fire. And when we come out of it, we are going to be unbound. So keep your eyes on the Lord. And everything that is happening has been prophesied. So don't feed too much into looking at all the players in it. You need to look at God's word and continue to pray, and just to pray for each other. And that's going to be the most important thing. And stay off of the internet, because he who controls the mind controls everything else. And Satan is a great manipulator right now. He loves the internet. and he loves manipulating it. Okay? All right, my friends, I'm going to get this up right now. I'm going to get it up. All right. And remember, code. I'm going to do some code things so you can keep watching. All right. God bless.